Hello, I'm Gary Cowger, Group Vice President of General Motors. You know, I wish I could be there to mingle and talk to all of you tonight, the dedicated members of the Cadillac LaSalle Club, as you celebrate your 50th anniversary, because I certainly enjoyed talking with you the last time you visited Detroit and we were all at the GM Winter Garden. I'm sure by now you have many more stories to share about the many classic Cadillacs that have been purchased and restored since the last time we met. But as it stands, unfortunately, my schedule just simply didn't permit me to travel to this event. Still, I decided if you can't join them, I'll do the next best thing. So I recorded a video while enjoying some of my favorite Cadillacs right here at our collection at the GM Heritage Center in Sterling Heights, Michigan. And boy, do we have a collection. You know, as we were preparing this video, I received the list of vehicles that I could showcase for you tonight. And I can tell you, I felt like a kid in a candy store. Let's see, I'll take that 1903 Caddy there and the 1912 Phaeton and, oh yeah, throw in the 59 Eldorado convertible. But sadly, I was told today I could only have these classic cars for this video. That said, you get to enjoy the ownership of cars like the ones we have here in the Heritage Center every day. So at least I get to savor a few minutes with these great cars in you today. And that's why the Cadillac LaSalle Club is so special. Each and every day, your 7,000 members tend to the 18,000 Cadillacs that you have in your possession. You know, you're protecting the legacy of one of the most important and influential automotive brands in the history of our industry. No group can match your resources, ranging from a website with more than 9,000 items of information and 16,000 photographs to authenticity manuals to help enthusiasts restore their cherished vehicles. I commend you and your fellow members for your dedication to preserving all things Cadillac LaSalle for the last 50 years. You know, this is especially important as we near our 100th anniversary at General Motors. As I said earlier, I had a chance to select a few classic Cadillacs to show off. But before I talk about the vehicles I selected, I wanted to share some thoughts about the man who created Cadillac, Henry Leland. Now, it should be no surprise that Cadillac has stood as the standard of the world for more than a century. A toolmaker by trade, Leland was meticulous about the quality of the products he made. And as the story goes, Leland took an underpowered Olds engine and tweaked it from 3 horsepower to 10 horsepower. Now, while the people at Olds rejected this better engine, Leland's work caught the attention of the leaders at the Detroit Automobile Company in 1902. It turned out to be a match made in heaven. Leland agreed to turn out high-quality engines for a new company named after the French explorer Cadillac, who founded Detroit in 1701. Work on the first Cadillac, the Model A, began in September 1902. In its first year of production, nearly 1,900 of the Model A's, similar to the one we have here at the Heritage Center, were built and shipped. At a price of $750 for the runabout and $100 more if you wanted it equipped with a tonneau. Now, the Model A marked Cadillac's entry into the fledgling automotive marketplace. Affectionately called the one-lunger, the Model A's engine was located under the driver's seat and provided a whopping 6.5 horsepower. Where other cars used a tiller for steering at that time, the Model A incorporated an actual steering wheel, which we all know has become the standard for motor vehicles. And for those who needed to store their belongings, well, a wicker basket could be purchased as an aftermarket option for a mere $30. As for durability, it seemed no one could beat the Model A. In 2 famous stunts, Caddy marketers overloaded the Model A with passengers. A photo of one of the stunts shows at least 12 men are clinging to the car as it motored along Shelby Street in Detroit. In 1908, Cadillac was honored with the Dewar Trophy, the automotive equivalent of the Nobel Prize, for Leland's emphasis on interchangeability of parts. Driven to produce a car that surpassed all his competitors, Leland impressed upon his workers the slogan, "Craftsmanship a creed, accuracy a law." Consumers were quick to buy the Cadillacs, lured in part by the fact that parts could be easily replaced due to the very close tolerances in manufacturing. But not one to rest on his early successes, Leland tapped the innovation of a young Swedish toolmaker, Carl Johansson, to take Cadillac to even new heights. Called Joe Blocks, Leland incorporated these gauges into the design and manufacturing processes. The results were stunning. Not only did Cadillac produce superior vehicles, but other high-priced competitors started to purchase parts from Cadillac, knowing that those parts would be of the best quality. And the innovations didn't stop there. There are a number of stories circulating about the creation of the self-starter. What we know is that Leland began exploring the idea of a self-starter in 1910. Teaming with Charles Kettering, Cadillac engineers worked not only on the starter, but on electric lighting and ignition as well. The result, seen here in the 1912 Phaeton, was a vehicle that simply revolutionized the automotive industry and would secure yet another Dewar Trophy in 1913. Now, another revolutionary feature of this 1912 Cadillac was the interchangeability of bodies. The bare touring car cost $1,800, but if you were flush with cash, you could swap a limo body for a mere $3,250. Now, how's that for convenience? And how's this for power? By the late 1920s, Cadillac designers and engineers were hot on the project to produce a supercar. In 1930, this beauty, and my personal favorite, a V16, rolled off the assembly line. Now, according to the sales catalog from 1931, the V16 was the most individualistic and powerful car ever made for ordinary or private use. And taking flexibility to new heights, and maybe even excess, you could pick from 63 body styles, both LaSalle's and Cadillacs, to fit your various tastes and desires. The price ranged from $2,200 for a base LaSalle to $15,000 for a V16 equipped Cadillac. Now, while the V16 lived a fairly short life, it did inspire us to come out with a more modern concept of a Cadillac V16 just a few years ago at the North American International Auto Show. The reaction to that vehicle was incredible. And while there were really no plans to make it, many of the styling and design cues in the new 16 are picked up in some of our latest Cadillacs. Now, throughout Cadillac's storied history, graceful style was married with industrial leading power. We saw that with the V16, and it was reinforced in the post-war era with this 1949 Cadillac. Until 1949, most Cadillacs were powered by a reliable but bulky flathead V8 engine. For years, GM engineers pushed the flathead to performance limits that seemed unattainable. They knew, though, that they could only do so much to perfect an already great engine. So they set the bar even higher and decided to focus on a new engine that would be perfect for Cadillac's prestige image and serve as a launching pad for a lot of engine developments to come. The result that first appeared in this '49 Cadillac was an overhead V8 engine that weighed about 200 pounds less than its predecessor and could tolerate the new high-octane fuels that were being produced. So good was this engine that the auto critics and writers of the time recorded unprecedented top speeds exceeding 100 miles an hour. And there's a story that Briggs Cunningham even took a near stock Coupe de Ville to the 24 Hour of Le Mans in France. And while the car finished 10th, it made an indelible impression on the entire motoring world. And speaking of impressions, my final selection is a classic among classics and another personal favorite of mine, the 1959 Eldorado Baritz convertible. What can I say that no one else has said about this iconic vehicle? And you know, people either loved it or hated it because of the soaring tail fins and the rocket-shaped taillights. But the fact is, this car epitomized the pop culture of the late 50s and early 60s. Countless movies and magazine ads featured 59 Eldorados. And for all the people who poked fun at the Eldorado, there were many more who heaped praise on this car, choosing to erect monuments to the 59 with scrap parts or other art forms. Well, these are but a few of the many Cadillacs that defined what was long considered to be the standard of the world for the auto industry. And while there have been periods when Cadillac didn't perform to such a high standard, I'm very proud of the fact that our marquee brand is on its way back. You know, in recent years, we have launched a completely redesigned brand, offering compelling styling and high-end performance. In fact, the critics just love this new Cadillac CTS with its rakish good looks. And earlier this year at the North American International Auto Show, the CTS Coupe not only received rave reviews, but also won Concept of the Year. Now, while we haven't officially announced production of this coupe, I can say that we have great plans for Cadillac. And someday, it'll be great to hear people once again use Cadillac and the standard of the world in the same sentence. And finally, tonight, I want to thank the Cadillac LaSalle Club for the Cadillac Herald Award. Now, I can't count the number of honors bestowed upon Cadillac over the years, but this honor is special because it comes from the very people who are working diligently to preserve an icon of the automotive industry. As the plaque on the award states, the innovation by Cadillac in the past is the foundation of what the future will be. That phrase is so true as we look to GM's next 100 years. So, thank you for preserving the past, but also for serving as our inspiration for the future. Thank you and good evening.